Hello and welcome to part 2 of 4 videos which describe the step-by-step guide for Aerosoft's Airbus A319. In the first video of this series I went through the preparation that's required, which brings us to the stage where we're pushed back and we're now ready to taxi onto the main runway, take off and follow the standard instrument departure. So I'm going to release the brakes, and we have a choice now at this stage where either I can use a bit of throttle or I can just let the aircraft gather its own momentum, which is exactly what I've decided to do. And there we are, moving forward at an appreciable enough speed, and once we reach 10 knots the taxi checklist will start automatically.
And the taxi checklist?
No slide.
Set on.
Brake check.
Pedal pressed. Checked 0.
Check. Auto brakes.
Max.
Takeoff data.
Reviewed.
FCU.
Checked.
Slide instruments.
Checked.
Checked. TO config.
Set.
Checklist complete.
We're going to taxi down to the end of the taxiway and hold at the runway holding points before we run the next checklist. For those of you who noticed a little bit of discontinuity between the first video and this one, I did mention in my first video that I'm using a new joystick setup, and well, let's just say it's caused me a couple of teething problems that have required me to take a pause and have to go and reset things. In fact, when I ran this video the first time round, when it came time to rotate and lift off the runway, I wasn't able to. Clattered straight off the end and managed to mow down a couple of the buildings at the end of the runway. I thought that wouldn't make a very good video, but on reflection maybe it would have done. So I've had to restart and do the whole preparation process, and you come and enjoy me at the taxiing. No sooner had I started that when I discovered that my rudder wasn't correctly connected, so I had to go and reset all of that. Hopefully now we are good to go, but let's see how we do. So we're taxiing down to the runway holding point for runway 08. I'm going to hold short of the holding point to run us through the before takeoff checklist.
Approaching 08.
The voice you could hear there is the RAAS that comes supplied with the Airbus from Aerosoft, and only works on the the Airbus from Aerosoft as well. It's a handy little feature. So we've arrived now at the holding point. Let's start off the checklist by keying number 1 on my keyboard.
Flight attendants, seats for takeoff please. Before takeoff checklist please.
Brake temperature.
Checked.
Brake fans.
Off.
Engine mode selector.
Checked. Normal.
TCAS.
TARA, tilt above.
Exterior lights.
Set on.
Sliding tables.
Stowed.
Stowed. Checklist complete.
Okay, well, let's go. So we'll release the brake by pressing the full stop or period key, and we'll let the aircraft take itself forward under its own idle throttle pace here, because it's quite a tight turn to get us onto the runway.
Approaching 08.
My rudder pedal control is not the greatest in the world, so lining up presents me with some considerable challenges. Again, tighten up the turn by applying a bit of brake, but seem to not be doing too bad. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad.
On runway 08.
Throttle forward to about 70% power. Make sure everything's running up as we expect it to do. And then
Takeoff.
Mantoga.
Mantoga and SRS.
Check.
Yeah, my lineup was rubbish, wasn't it?
Power set. Speed 1. Rotate.
And pull that jump on the stick. There we go. Climb up to around
Positive climb.
Gear up.
15 to 18
Gear up.
degrees. There we go.
Navigation.
Check.
To the left a bit according to the flight director. Looking good. Come right a bit, stay on track.
Gears up. Lights off.
Flaps 1.
And we'll reduce
Speed
the
check. Flaps 1.
Climb thrust.
climb thrust and apply the autopilot.
Autopilot is going on.
So you can see here the throttle's in the CL detent, which is the climb thrust, and from this point forward the Airbus is managing the standard instrument departure for us that was part of our flight plan entry
And flap 0.
into the MCDU.
Speed check. Flaps 0.
And the after takeoff checklist, please.
Engine mode selector.
Checked. Normal.
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
Flaps.
Checked. Retracted.
Landing gear.
Gear up. Lights off.
Exterior lights.
Set off.
Packs.
Both on.
Anti-ice.
Off.
TCAS.
Checked.
Altimeter.
1, 0, 1, 3.
1, 0, 1. Rate. Check. Checklist complete.
That terrain warning that you heard there as we were coming through this standard instrument departure, I get it every time when I do this, so don't be surprised if you get it too. Maybe someone can tell me why it is triggering at that point and whether that's realistic or whether some adjustments need to be made. So we're going to be climbing up to 31,000 feet. I'm going to dial that in now. There we go. Don't have to concern myself with it a bit later on. The speed's being held here at 250 automatically by the autopilot. The auto throttle was automatically engaged as well, didn't need to do anything about that. The standard instrument departure basically takes us on a path which is exactly opposite to where we want to go. It takes us flying along the valley here until we get to a point called Rattenberg, whereupon it's going to chuck a left and describe a beautiful little arc as it comes back
10,000
round
feet.
Lights off.
to pass almost back over
Off.
Innsbruck and then take us on our route proper.
Transition altitude.
Barrow reference. Set and cross-checked.
Check.
So at this point you're benefiting from all the work that you did earlier programming the route into your MCDU and the flight deck crew between them and doing the necessary bits and pieces as we climb away and go through our standard instrument departure. very exciting, but a good time to get yourself a cup of coffee. Which reminds me, at certain points in this simulated flight, you'll get a flight attendant come to the door and offer the captain a nice cup of coffee. How wonderful that would be if it were only true. Although bizarrely, the first officer doesn't get any coffee. Maybe they're too busy doing all the actual work of flying the airplane. Who knows? So looking at the ND on our displays here now, we can see that we are approaching Romeo Tango Tango. That's Rattenberg. Whereupon we'll make a steady turn to the left and start flying back towards Innsbruck. To me this does seem like a very long and elaborate instrument departure, and must cost the airline a fortune. I don't know if there's much comment about it anywhere, or maybe I should have a look on Google later on and see why it's not as lengthy as it is. You may have heard some sneezing in the background there. That's part of the super realism that you get with this Airbus. Not sure I'd want someone on my flight deck who's sneezing and spluttering away like he is. Might be catching, you never know. Thank heavens it's only a simulation. The flight deck voices that are provided here by Aerosoft come from a range of different options that are available to you. I've changed the captain's voice to be what was listed as standard British, but I've left the first officer's voice as it is because she has some lovely unique little things that she says that always make me smile. I don't know if you caught it when we were doing all of our preparation during one of the checklists, which refers to ruder trim, which always gives me a little smile. There's a couple others that she comes up with as well that just adds to the whole experience of flying the Aerosoft Airbus. I love it, so I've no intentions of changing that particular voice on this simulation. The male voice that comes by standard has an interesting little quirk as well, I noticed. And when you're doing the preparation as you're taxiing out, he mentioned something which I completely misheard. I thought he was saying tilde buff. I have no idea what tilde buff was. I thought I might have to Google that. But when I changed the voice to this voice that I'm using now at the moment, I realised that what he was saying was tilt above, which only goes to show how words can become thoroughly confusing sometimes. So we're completing our left-hand turn now and heading back towards Innsbruck, though clearly at a higher altitude than we were before. Have a quick squint on the ND. I'll zoom us out a little bit. So I'll set the range to 40 miles now. There's the track we're flying up towards INN, Innsbruck, and off to the right hand side, showing in magenta, is the airport, LOWI. You might have seen that cyan hook that appeared to the left hand side of the flight path. That's going to be the point where we're estimating we will hit our cruise level of 31,000 feet. And that's it really. That is our standard instrument departure. So I'm going to close the video at this point, and in part 3 of the video I'll be working through the climb up to our cruising height, our top of climb, the parts flying through till we get to our top of descent. That'll prove to be a fairly easygoing video because there's not an awful lot that you have to do. The flight deck crew are doing most of it for you. You've done all the difficult bit, getting us off the ground and into the standard instrument departure routine. So I'll see you in my next video, and thanks very much for watching.